guys, I'm hanging out here in beautiful Bordeaux, France, and taking you behind the scenes this week to show you what remote working is like at Femgineer. So if you've been on the fence about taking a remote position, stay tuned for a number of tips in today's Build episode. Welcome to Build, brought to you by Pivotal Tracker. I'm your host, Purnima Vijay Shankar. And for the past 7 years, I have been managing remote teams around the world for my startup as well as other companies. And today I'm joined by Meghan Burgain, who is the mother of twins, an expat who lives here in Bordeaux, France, and is Femgineer's community manager. For the last year, Meghan has been working remotely, and she's going to share some of her favorite tips to help you get over any reservations that you might have when it comes to taking on a remote position. Thanks for joining us, Meghan.
Thanks for being in France, Purnima.
Yeah. So I know a year ago when I approached you about remote working, you were on the fence. Let's talk about what some of your reservations were.
Yeah, so my education and a lot of my experiences are in education. I was actually a teacher before I moved here. And so I was a little concerned about getting up to speed, getting trained at Femgineer. So that was one of my concerns, was getting trained. The other one, of course, was that Bordeaux is 9 hours ahead of San Francisco. So I knew that there was going to be some difficulty there. And would I have to stay awake at night to get all of the work done or not? So those are my two concerns.
Yeah. So while you got over the hurdle and joined the team, I know there was that first hiccup that you had where you missed a meeting due to the time zone. What did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, I mean, time zones are really tricky. I learned that basically communication is paramount, especially when you're working remotely. You need to be explicit, very clear, search for the clarification, ask the questions that you need, and really just be polite. When you're dealing with people through email, with chat, it can be difficult to maybe misread something. So just to be polite, and that avoids like 90% of the issues. Yeah. So then you eventually got over that and learned a number of things over the last year. Let's start with the first thing that you learned. Right. So the first thing I learned basically was the importance of the tools that we use. Being that we're not in proximity, we use the tools like Trello and Slack. Trello is great because, I mean, obviously for communication, you can see who's doing what, if it's done or not. But it also allows for transparency. You can see like the bigger picture, what we're focusing on at Femgineer, what the priorities are, and how that should affect how I prioritize my own tasks as well.
Yeah. Now, I know another thing you've learned that is, even though we're a remote team, we still do weekly check-ins where we sync up. Walk us through how weekly check-ins have benefited you.
Weekly check-ins are really important. In startup land especially, projects change, priorities change, and the weekly check-ins really help us both, I feel, to stay focused and to stay on the same page, working towards the same goal.
Now, I know the third thing is that you were concerned about training, getting trained, training other people. I know as we've scaled the team, you've had to train others. How have you kind of gotten over that hurdle?
Yeah, it's funny that was one of my reservations, and that's actually something that I've been doing at Femgineer. Well, I realized that training someone via Zoom or Slack, it's not that much different than training someone in person, and in some cases it can actually be better because we can record the training and use it in the future, which is what we've done a lot.
Right.
I've also been relying a lot on our handbook.
Yeah, so what's our handbook?
Our handbook is basically a recipe book for anything that's recurring. So whether it's daily or just a certain time of the year, if it happens more than once, it's in the handbook. It's outlined, there's helpful tips, and there are links to any outside resources that we might need.
Great. So walk us through what a typical day is like for you.
So a typical day, I wake up, we get the girls ready, send them off to daycare, then I have the majority of my day to do the daily tasks that I need to get done, answer emails that came through, to do all of my tasks. And towards the end of the day, when the States wakes up, I'm able to schedule phone calls, have meetings, and that sort of thing. It's great because the first part of my day I didn't have any of those interruptions.
Right.
I was able to just do whatever I wanted at my own pace. Right. And at the end of the day, I have all of the things where I need to interact with people. And then I do my to-do list for the next day, and it's off to get the kids.
Nice. So it sounds like you have a lot of flexible hours.
Oh yeah, well for sure. I mean, I have deadlines just like anyone else.
Right.
But I do have a lot more flexibility with how I get those things done.
Yeah, so what do you think are like the key benefits that you've experienced by remote working?
You mean besides being able to work anywhere in the world and in my own kitchen and in my own sweatpants?
Yes, those are great benefits, by the way.
I would say that the biggest benefit of working remotely is that I've really been able to find a work-life balance that works well for me. I am able to not only be there for my kids and my family,
right,
but to provide for them as well. So I think that that's just an invaluable thing, and it's a win-win.
Yeah. So I know for some folks out there, they might be on the fence about remote working because of the culture, right? They might feel like, oh, it's isolated or distant. How have you managed to manage that?
Yeah, I mean, I could see how it could be lonely. You don't have someone just next to you to sort of talk to or whatever, but I haven't felt that way, and I think to go back to the weekly check-ins, I think that that's really one of the reasons is that we do get that FaceTime, and also we have Slack in which we can talk to all of our team members. I would say when it comes to the culture and the sort of the team feeling, you get what you give. So it can be tempting in any working relationship, especially in remote working, to whenever you find someone that's available within their time zone to just sort of ping them with the 20 questions that you have, or to like ask 100 things of them. But I would suggest to all of you, that the first thing that you do to someone should really be to ask them how they're doing, to find out what their interests are. It goes a long way towards creating the spirit and creating a team.
Yeah, so building a rapport, maybe through a water cooler channel on Slack.
Yes, that's what we have.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you, Meghan. This has been really helpful. I know our audience out there is going to benefit from these tips.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure.
Wonderful. Well, that's it for today's episode of Build. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to receive the next episode where you'll get more helpful tips like this.
Ciao for now!
This episode of Build is brought to you by our sponsor, Pivotal Tracker. Hey guys, I'm hanging out here in beautiful Bordeaux, and I need to start again. All right. And in today's Build episode, we're going to talk to you about
remote working.
Yeah, I know. I forgot whether I should introduce you before I. I think I do need to.
Okay.
Okay. Take two.